As a liberal woman, it is really hard to find a man who is willing to play the more traditional masculine role in the relationship in today's day and age.
What you're about to hear will blow your mind. Women say they want traditional men, but at the same time, they aren't willing to be traditional women. That's right. They want the best of both worlds and don't even realize they're sabotaging their own chances at love.
Do you want to know one of the saddest realizations I recently had? Was that as a liberal woman, it is really hard to find a man who is willing to play the more traditional masculine role in the relationship in today's day and age, who is not a conservative. A man who wants to pay on the first date, who wants to open your door, who has that want and desire to take care of you and to provide, who is not a conservative. And obviously, as a liberal woman, I do want to be respected for my independence. And I do want to have my own autonomy in the relationship and not be confined or conform to the traditional female homemaker, childbearing role. And most of the men that I've dated who do have that more natural provider masculinity about them are normally conservative. So I don't really know what to do because I don't want to compromise my morals and values just to find a man. But am I asking to have my cake and eat it too?
This woman illustrates the classic dilemma of wanting modern privileges without giving up traditional security. She wants autonomy and independence, but also a man who fully assumes the traditional role of provider and protector. The issue is that these two worlds rarely coexist without conflict. Men with a strong provider and protector instinct usually value partners who fit into the traditional complementary role. Wanting a modern plus traditional relationship puts her at high risk of mutual frustration.
So since Tampa is my entire For You page algorithm at this point, I want to ask a question to men because I can't really say anything on this topic because I'm going to get severely canceled. But I was on TikTok and I'm scrolling through. I see this girl that lives in Tampa. She's complaining that men are no longer traditional, that no men are like they used to be 50 years ago, whatever she's trying to say. I don't know. She's basically going on that they don't plan dates, don't open doors. They just aren't made the same anymore. I click on her profile. Her TikTok bio has her OnlyFans link in it. Traditional men, how do you feel about this? Would you want to wife up a girl that has an OnlyFans? I'm so curious because I had an entire rant on TikTok that I drafted that I was going to post, but I don't want to get canceled. And I don't really want to open that can of worms. So I want to ask the men, traditional men, what do you think about that take? Because to me, that is the most insane take that someone could have that has that link in their bio. Because I can't imagine any traditional man would be going for that type of girl. But I could be completely wrong. So I would like to ask all the traditional men, preferably in Tampa, although I feel like I would get maybe half of a comment. So maybe traditional men all across the US. What are your thoughts on this?
The problem here is the inconsistency between the lifestyle she maintains and the type of man she wants. Complaints about the lack of traditional men don't make sense when she publicly promotes her sexual and financial independence, like in the case of OnlyFans. A traditional man seeks family values, modesty, and commitment. He will not identify with behaviors that contradict that. She is basically complaining about something she herself doesn't offer or represent.
So I was talking to one of my friends and we were talking about dating and we were talking about our preferences. And I got asked what specifically is my preference. And I said, it has to be a 100% traditional man. This is non-negotiable for me. I've tried to go outside of this. I realize I really don't like that. I can't deal with it. And they said, traditional? Well, that's so broad. What exactly does that mean? And I was kind of surprised by that question, but I clarified and I said by traditional, I mean a man that desires within himself, not because he has to be taught or because he feels like it's an obligation to me, from me, but within himself. He desires to lead. He desires to protect. He desires to provide. He has the leadership skills to do this. He's dominant enough to run the room. I said, that's what type of man I have to be with. I like assertiveness. I like dominance. I don't like passiveness. I am a very passive, submissive woman. Two submissive people will get nowhere in life. Absolutely nowhere. I'm here to create a peaceful home. I'm here to be supportive and a listening ear. I don't want to be with a man and still have to be the decision maker. I don't want to be with a man and still have to figure everything out. I don't want to be with a man and have to worry about if we're safe. That's silly to me. And a lot of girls, they don't mind stuff like that, but I do. I mind it a lot and I can't deal with it. I told them I like when men within themselves have the ability to lead. They have the ability to make strong decisions that benefit their nest, their family, whatever is going on, their girlfriend. But they desire that. And I said, that's very traditional to me. That's what I'm used to. I was raised in a 2-parent household. And, you know, my father was a dominant man. So that's what I expect. And I was surprised that the feedback that I got back was typically the women that they deal with attempt to be the men in the relationship. And they don't like that. They don't like when men try to lead because they said that the women say that it makes them feel unheard and it makes them feel like they're not calling shots. But this is where it comes, where you're either masculine or you're feminine. If you want a masculine man, you can't be a masculine girl. You have to be a feminine girl. And if you want a feminine girl, you can't be a feminine man. So that was the conversation. That's my topic for today, y'all, because I just got done talking about this.
She clearly expresses that she wants a dominant, traditional man, but it's important to note that this expectation requires her to genuinely adopt a feminine and submissive role. She seems to understand this, but many women today claim they want a man like that without actually being willing to take on the complementary role of support and passivity. For a traditional man, consistency between what you want and what you give is essential. He needs to feel he is leading, but also that his partner respects and fits naturally into that complementary role.
According to one of my guy friends, and I want to know if this is true, and I don't know if all men believe this or the men that I want to date believe this or who believes in this, but according to one of my guy friends, he said the man that you want to date, which is a traditional man, is not going to be interested in you because you are so career driven. And for me, that kind of blew my mind because I was just like, well, why wouldn't the man that I want to date not want me to work? And he said, well, Bailey, the traditional man is going to want you to drop what you're doing, and he's going to want you to, nurture the family. He's going to want you to clean the house. He's going to want you to cook. He's going to want you to do this. And if you are working, you're not going to want to do all that. You're going to come home with an attitude. You're going to be exhausted. You're going to this, you're going to that. So you're not going to want to. I was like, no, I still would. He's like, no, you wouldn't. He's like, and plus, and if a guy is asking you like what your goals are, and you're talking about how you want to continue to go back to school and you want to do this and you want to do that, they're not hearing that you want to, they're not hearing that you want to nurture your family. And I was like, but I thought it was like a given that, hey, I'm a nurse. Of course, like I'm a nurturer and I'm going to take care of my family. But in the meantime, while, we don't have kids, is it not attractive that I have a career going for me? Or I don't know. I thought that was so odd, and I've never heard that before. Because when someone asks me like, oh, like, what are your goals? Like, of course I'd love to be a mom. Of course I'd love to take care of my family, of course. But aren't they asking me like what my current goals are? Like, I didn't know they were talking about like the future. I'm talking about like right now. Like, I'm talking about how I want to like be the best nurse, and I want to be able to take care of people like efficiently and quickly, and I want to be able to be the like person that people turn to and know that like I'm that person that is gonna get it done and I'm gonna take care of them. Is that not also saying like that I'm a nurturer? That of course I would take care of my family? I don't know. That kind of like threw me because he was saying, well, Bailey, when you get pregnant and you have kids, like, why would you try to work? I'm like, well, I want to maintain my skills. Like, I worked so hard to get here. And of course, my family would be my number one priority. But, like, what about when all the kids are out of the nest? Like, what am I going to do then? Like, for me, it gives me purpose as a nurse to take care of others. Like, I love that. I love doing what I do. Yeah, it's stressful, but gosh, I love it. Like, does the type of man I want really not want me doing that? Like, that's what I thought was so weird. Like, guys, is this true? Woman, have you been told this before? Like, is this your experience? Because that threw me for, I don't even know the saying, but that threw me off. Like, of course I would love on my family. Of course I would take care of my family. Of course I would do everything it took to make sure that my family was comfortable, that food was on the table, that everything was clean, that everything was sanitary. But I guess me saying that I want to go back to school, that I want to give back to the community, that I want to do this, is that a turnoff to the man that I want? Does that make him not hear that I'm going to be a great mom? I don't know. Like, that totally threw me off. Like, is that just like his point of view? Or is this really like the type of traditional man that I want's point of view? Because he was like saying it generalized. So that's what's like totally throwing me off. I have no idea. I don't know. What do you guys think?
What this woman doesn't realize is that she wants a traditional man, but keeps a modern mindset focused on independence and career first. A traditional man values dedication to family and taking care of the home. He wants to see his partner prioritize that. It's not about diminishing her career, but about aligning goals. If she's constantly focused on work and personal ambitions, he sees that family priorities may be neglected. This disconnect between what she wants and what she practices inevitably leads to conflict.